Welcome, everyone. Today, we have the privilege of having Ken Warman, who is the CEO and owner of the Leaders Evolution, and he's actually going to be sharing with you why and how he even started the Leaders Evolution as it is a part of the story even today, as he talks about purpose. My name is Byron Lowe, and we are really happy to have you be a part of the Leading Transformational Change today with this forum. As I said, Ken, let me just share a little bit about Ken. Ken is a leadership consultant and a coach and a speaker, and he also is obviously the founder and the CEO of the Leaders Evolution. And Ken's got a great story as to how he actually came about to start the Leaders Evolution. But Ken comes from a very healthy background in corporate America. He is a strategic leader, and he has become a trusted advisor to all of his clients. And he has an incredible list of clients and clientele that he is working with today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ken Warman as he is going to share today on really the power of purpose. Ken.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Byron, for that kind introduction. And it's been wonderful to get to meet you and build our partnership as part of this effort. And I also want to thank Stelios and Ian for hosting and providing this forum, this very important forum for leaders to talk about how to accomplish transformational change. As Byron mentioned, my name is Ken Warman. The name of my firm is the Leaders Evolution. And I'm super thrilled to be here and be part of this community of thought leaders and people coming together as to how we can learn different tactics, techniques to be able to accomplish leading transformational change. And the reason why I'm so pleased about that is because leading transformational change is extraordinarily hard, extremely difficult. What I'd like to do is take you on a journey to explore one of the elements that I have really learned is tremendously useful and powerful, and that is the power of purpose. I want you to think about purpose as being a tool, an asset that we can bring out, that we can cultivate, and ultimately use it as a tool to be able to accomplish transformational change, the change that we seek. I plan to share a bunch of stories with you, some examples, and as I go through, I'm going to hit on 5 key areas, key learnings that we've discovered in our work here at the Leaders Evolution that will allow you to harness the power of purpose and accomplish the change that you seek to create in the world. The first story actually brings us back in time. It's one of the most impactful stories of purpose, particularly at the individual level, that I learned as a young person. It brings us back actually to a PT boat, a vessel of the U.S. Navy, and particularly a young lieutenant who was standing on the deck of that boat. This young lieutenant was just 23 years old, a member of the U.S. Marine Corps. And at this time, the date was 1961. Our country, the United States, and in fact, the entire world was locked in an extremely dangerous Cold War. In fact, we had been brought to the brink of World War III numerous times in the prior year or two, and would be again in the succeeding couple of years. This young Marine, with a company of men behind him, was communicated or indicated that if he was to be given the order that he would board an amphibious vessel, be taken about 100 yards off the shores of Cuba, and asked to storm that shore, facing imminent danger, catastrophic losses likely by enemy fire, and was asked ultimately to be willing to lay his life on the line for democracy and freedom. Many years later, I had the opportunity to ask this now adult, fully grown individual, why did he take on that risk? Why was he willing to take on that danger to his own life? And what he explained to me was that he believed in the core purpose of the mission, that he believed in democracy, and that fighting for the freedoms that were being defended at that period of time was critically important to him and to his family and to his loved ones. He believed that good should triumph over evil, and he believed that freedom should win over oppression. I'm quite fortunate that that young Marine was not asked to storm that beach on that day or any other day, because later that young Marine became my dad. And he shared that power of purpose and how it can draw the best out of individuals, willing to sacrifice everything for the good of the cause. You could probably see the resemblance with the pug nose and the big ears. But I had a wonderful role model growing up, and he shared story after story and example after example around this concept of finding one's purpose and being able to lead others to that important end. I myself went through a journey of finding my purpose, although it included probably a lot less danger, but there was a fair amount of risk associated with it. A lot of times people ask me, how do you become a leadership coach, or why do you do what you do, Ken? And for me, my love of leadership and teamwork and high-performing teams actually began on the athletic field. When I was younger, I was a very talented athlete. I played every team sport under the sun, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, and got very good at several of them. But ultimately, what I got good at was becoming the leader of a group, becoming the captain of the team. And through my words and the culture that we were able to develop, we would typically create a high-performing environment and do well. And that propelled me along an athletic career that led me to Lehigh University and playing Division I baseball there. At Lehigh, I learned technical skills. I learned about finance, and I learned about accounting. Importantly, as I reflect upon it, I learned how to think. I learned how to problem solve, and I learned how to be a business person and really communicate and interact at that level. And that propelled me forward in my professional career. As Byron mentioned, I worked for about 25 years at two pretty amazing organizations, KPMG, the large auditing and consulting firm, and then Prudential, the large financial services firm. And I did that swimmingly and enjoyed every step of leadership along the way, the failures, the successes, until about the age of 47, when I walked into my boss's office thinking that I was going to be having a one-on-one to talk about the next month or so. And unfortunately, in that conversation, I learned that I was being separated. And so with a first son just dropped off at college, and with two more soon to follow, I needed to face the fact that the job that I loved was no longer my job to have. And I needed to figure out what I was going to do next in my life. And that's where I kept coming back to this notion around leadership and teamwork and building high-performing teams, and really finding my purpose in life. If I could work with as many different leaders as possible, helping them become the best versions of themselves, that truly this would be able to fulfill my purpose. And ultimately, that led me to take the huge risk at that time of starting my own firm called The Leader's Evolution. And not just taking that financial risk or that business risk, but also going through the transformation myself, the change needed, which truly was significant change. I had never been a consultant before. I had never been a coach before. I had never been an entrepreneur truly before. And so I needed to make that shift and that transformation in order to accomplish what I needed to accomplish. But because I was driven by my purpose, I was able to undergo that transformation and still each and every day wake up driven by the purpose of fulfilling that goal of creating as many different leaders and high-performing teams as possible. I could go through example after example that we can point to in industry and in other places where purpose has served this incredible a catalyst for being able to accomplish transformational change. You may not know my dad's story, and you may not know my story, but one story I think we probably all can connect to is the story of our exploration of space. You know how the beginning goes. In 1903, the Wright brothers were able to successfully accomplish the first manned flight. It was December of 1903. And for the next 50 to 55 years, there was incremental improvement in our ability to conquer the sky. But then there was a very savvy leader who had the ability to capture this power of purpose. And he began talking about the importance of conquering the higher level of the sky. That leader was John F. Kennedy. And in his words, you can hear how he identifies this incredible opportunity, this purpose that sets before us, and sets up this connection that each and every person would be able to contribute to this meaningful end. I want to share a quote or two from 1961, ironically, the same time that that lieutenant was sitting on that deck in that dangerous position. And this is John F. Kennedy. "For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon and to the planets beyond, and we have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace." Later that year, in a very real sense, it will not be one man going to the moon. It will be an entire nation, for all of us must work to put him there. You know how the rest of the story goes. It was not much more than a year later that John Glenn was able to accomplish first orbiting the Earth in 1962, a feat that was thought unthinkable a decade before. And only 7 years later, in July of 1969, we were able to accomplish the first lunar landing. That is transformational change at a lightning speed. What I hope to do is share 5 basic learnings that I have come to in our work at the Leaders Evolution. And they're important elements. And I know that they create the difference between being able to accomplish greater change and those that attempt and fall short. The first one of those learnings, surprise, is that change is extraordinarily hard. And why is that? Well, in my learning or my estimation, there are so many things that need to come together pretty much all at once to be able to accomplish transformational change. You need creativity, you need new ideas, the ability to ideate around a new way of doing things. We need to be able to suspend the long-standing beliefs as to what has been done or what is possible. We need to be able to assess risk properly and overcome our human aversion to risk. We need to have incredible tenacity, incredible grit to be able to accomplish this great transformational change. And probably most importantly, we need to be able to change behaviors. We need to be able to change our own behaviors and the behaviors of those around us in the team or organization in which we are trying to accomplish this change, and ultimately likely change the behaviors of our clients or our consumers. This ultimately becomes the most significant obstacle. But as we confront that huge obstacle that change is hard, what I would share with you is leadership makes all the difference. Leadership has a disproportional impact. If articulated properly, the leader can truly accomplish the mind change that is necessary in order to create transformational change. We can get others aligned around what we will talk about in a minute, a common mission or a common purpose. And we do that without using our positional authority, but rather by using connections, using communication to be able to drive the will of others towards that ultimate purpose. We then create a flywheel effect that creates a movement, not just our own effort to accomplish that purpose, but a group of others that are willing to sacrifice to be able to accomplish that end goal. What we focus on, this third element that I want to share with you, is the unbelievable power of a common purpose. This allows the leader to connect the hearts and the minds of those around us involved in the team or in our organization. This truly unleashes the power of the human mind when ideas are combined with those of others, and to unleash the will of human beings, this incredible grit and resilience to evolve and to accomplish great things. When people are faced initially with transformational change, the first response is likely fear. They will next attempt to resist it, and ultimately many will just try to survive it. But we need people that are not just surviving it. We need those around us thriving in that change. Many organizations will talk about this. And in fact, I've seen lots of commercials recently that talk about purpose or talk about the why of the organization. But as we've dug into it, many of the teams think that they have this. They think they may have some mission, but truly, when you ask people to be able to define it or communicate it, they struggle. And so we very intentionally, when we work with our clients, build it. We build it together and use the purpose as a catalyst for accomplishing that transformational change that we seek. One of the concepts that I've learned over the last decade, and I absolutely love, Simon Sinek initially had a TED Talk, and he wrote a book called Start With Why, and later evolved that into Find Your Why. These are concepts that I absolutely love and that we embrace at the Leaders Evolution. We focus in on the good that people are trying to create in the world, from an initial leader or from an organization. We go through the process of defining that purpose. And by the way, this is a very emotional and difficult thing for most people to do. It rarely comes easily. But importantly, we need to do this authentically. It cannot come from a consultant. It cannot come from a marketing firm. It cannot come from some jingle. It has to actually come from within the leader, from within the team. And therefore, we build it very intentionally and organically. In one of the examples that we've worked with here at the Leaders Evolution, and we've done this with leader after leader, company after company, team after team. We work with the large pharmaceutical company, Regeneron, very successful organization. They've been able to experience tremendous growth over the last couple of decades. We worked with a senior leader within that organization and his leadership team and helped them go through the process of discovering their purpose. Really, for them, it was rediscovering it. And what they did, very importantly, was they moved the patient first. They put the patient back at the very beginning of their purpose. And as a result, earlier this year, they were able to launch a blockbuster treatment that really focuses on macular degeneration and other retinal ailments. When we talked to that leadership team, there were many elements that contributed to their success. But one of the things that they point to again and again was this ability to clearly articulate the purpose, the mission, and be able to get others within the organization, whether they be part of their direct team or other partners, aligned across that common goal. This was truly a differentiator in their success. We found that this goes across industries. We've worked with pharmaceuticals, financial services, renewable energy, professional services, the list goes on and on. It goes across size of company, from small startups to emerging, growing mid-sized firms to very, very large organizations. It goes from all types of functional departments and leaders. Importantly, the thing that bonds this all together is the ability for us to work with an individual so that they can clearly articulate the purpose, they can connect that with others around them, and ultimately work towards achieving that purpose and that transformational change. Another element that I really see as a differentiator between those that are truly successful in this area and those that attempt and perhaps only achieve incremental change as opposed to transformational change is this ability for the leader to identify in each person their individual purpose. This gets done through authentic leadership, through strong emotional intelligence, but through a process of identifying and bringing out the individual purpose of each contributor, and then being able to tie that together to the shared purpose, the common purpose that I described earlier. I'll take you back to that PT boat out off the coast of Cuba, and our young lieutenant that was on that ship. He had the grit, he had the resilience, but it wasn't until he was joined with hundreds, if not thousands of other Marines that they had the might to be able to overcome the mighty foe that they faced. It is through this connection that we get the true impact of teamwork and ultimately accomplish the change desired. There's one important element, and this is, again, the final differentiator, and it is this ability to accomplish true transformational change. It starts with the leader being a servant to the cause. when we reflect upon truly transformational change and the leadership that it takes to get there, the leader is willing to be a servant to the cause and put the change and transformation ahead of their own interests, not the other way around. The change doesn't serve the leader serves the change. Ultimately, when we achieve that, we have true purpose-driven leadership. And that is what we need to achieve true transformational change. Byron, I would like to pause and just see what questions you might have or others that you might articulate from the audience based on what I've shared thus far.
Yeah, I think that the idea that it all kind of comes together with this idea of the leader is able to draw out from others what their purpose is and connect it and tie it to the shared purpose. And you said that kind of equals teamwork. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I truly believe that, Byron, leadership is about getting the best out of those around you. In the example that I shared, and you can sense the power that my dad had and the military background that he had, that U.S. Marine Corps philosophy is that the leader is there to serve the people around them, make sure that each person on that mission comes home alive and that the mission is accomplished. And so truly to me, the captain, that leader role is about bringing the best in others. And in order to do that, we need to understand what motivates those around us. Why are they there? Why have they joined this organization? Why are they part of this team? Ultimately, that element is what we want to draw to the surface, because if we do, we will get their extra effort, we will get their best ideas, we will get their resilient contributions, even in the face of difficulty, even in the face of greater competition, even in the face of danger. And so it's the leader's ability to sort of draw that out from those around them that will make the difference between success and potentially just small incremental change.
Now, this is really an evolved leader, because even Michelle Stowe has a question that kind of relates to this. It's really the ability of the leader to articulate, to not only understand his or her own purpose, but also be able to draw that in others. And Michelle's question relates to, she says, many of the small business clients struggle with defining the purpose of their work in a way that's inspiring for their teams. Largely, they worry that the product itself isn't inspiring to a team. How have you worked with clients to help them create an inspirational purpose statement?
Yeah, no, it is part of the process that we work through in part of our high performance team program. And it takes soul searching. It takes a digging, because when you first ask that question, Byron, you and Michelle are right. Many times people will fumble with the words. They will stumble with it. And in a way, I think we've been desensitized a little bit over time in the business environment to not necessarily share that passion or share that deeply held belief that what we are selling or what we are bringing to the table will truly make a difference. And therefore, there's a lot of terminology that gets thrown around, and it doesn't really have a lot of meaning. And so we go through that process. And it's a staged process of first really talking to people. We have to create a trusting environment. We have to create vulnerability so that people can talk about what they truly love, their passion, what brings them to work every day. And it starts with that basic foundational level, and then building that up into the joined common purpose. The emotion, oftentimes there's a struggle in the connection between that feeling, that passion, and the words that associate it. It's actually two different areas of the brain that we're accessing, and so it takes a lot of intentional effort and oftentimes uncomfortableness, an ability to drive through those challenging conversations and the frustration that comes with not being able to articulate it. But that's why we're there. We've been able to do this with numerous companies, numerous leaders. And so we know where the pitfalls are. We're able to guide people through that, allowing it to be a little bit uncomfortable. You need to be able to sort of cross that river to be able to accomplish it. And so, that experience of driving to the level of being able to now articulate it and communicate it to others is, part of the process.
Well, anyone who is really thinking about, as they're going through kind of a change initiative right now in their organization, I would just really encourage you to reach out to Ken. I did place in the chat a link to his Calendly from his website, The Leaders Evolution. Please check out the website. If you take your phone and you click on and you actually take a picture of that QR code, it'll take you directly to Ken's website, The Leaders Evolution, as well as you can check out Ken's LinkedIn profile. But I think I would really encourage everyone to reach out to Ken and begin that process of helping others and the leaders in your organizations know their purpose, know their why, but also connecting that to a shared common purpose for the organization, and see your teamwork just absolutely skyrocket.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Byron. And I'll just close with reiterating that invitation that you've just made. That's a very personal invitation from me. If you are looking to truly change your organization, truly bring change, into the world, that is something not to be attempted alone. There's a wonderful African proverb that I love. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And what I would invite all of you is that I am happy to go on that journey with you together. I'd be thrilled to meet you for 30 minutes. You can go to any one of those forums, email, click the QR code, go to my website. Would be thrilled to have 30 minutes to just talk about your situation, how we might break it down, and how we might propel you to success going forward. I'm so happy to be part of this entire learning experience. I look forward to the next 2 days or so and going on the learning journey with all of you. And I look forward to the future conversations that we have before us. Thank you very much, Byron.
Thank you, Ken. Loved it. It was excellent. Very helpful.
Awesome. You got it.